Hey guys, tonight we are going to plunge headfirst into a world of clanking steel, whispered conspiracies, and questionable hygiene. Imagine waking up, not to the gentle chime of your phone alarm, but to the cold, unforgiving bite of iron cuffs digging into your wrists. Your head throbs, the air smells faintly of mildew and something vaguely rat-like, and you're pretty sure that fancy tunic you're inexplicably wearing wasn't in your closet yesterday. Let's be honest, you probably won't survive this medieval mess, but hey, at least it'll make for a good story, right? So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, drop your location and local time in the comments. It's always wild to see where you all are tuning in from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You jolt awake, the rough stone floor pressing uncomfortably against your cheek. The last thing you remember was binge-watching a historical documentary, and now, this? Panic flares in your chest, a cold wave washing over you. You're in a cell, a damp, dark, and decidedly unpleasant cell. Iron bars stand between you and, well, more darkness. The only light filters in from a small, barred window high above, casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. You try to sit up, but the chains connecting your wrists to the wall are short, cruelly restricting your movement. They clink ominously with every twitch. Okay, deep breaths. This has to be a dream, right? A really elaborate escape room? You pinch yourself. Hard. Nope. Still chained. Still smelling vaguely of rodentia. Looking down, you examine your attire. Gone are your comfy pajamas, instead, you're decked out in a surprisingly ornate tunic, embroidered with what looks like gold thread. It's a bit dusty, a bit rumpled, but undeniably expensive. Beneath the tunic, you find equally fancy breeches and soft leather boots. Not exactly prison garb, is it? You try to remember how you got here. Nothing. Just a blank slate. A void where memories should be. Did you drink too much mead last night? Oh, wait, you never drink mead. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echo down the stone corridor outside your cell. A gruff voice barks something unintelligible, followed by the clatter of keys. A hulking figure, clad in what appears to be the uniform of a castle guard, think ill-fitting leather armor and a perpetually suspicious frown, appears before your cell. He unlocks the door with a clang that reverberates through your skull. On your feet, prisoner, he growls, his breath smelling suspiciously of onions and stale ale. The important people want to see you. He gestures impatiently with a rusty spear. You scramble to your feet, wincing as the chains bite into your skin. The guard eyes your fancy clothes with a mixture of suspicion and grudging respect. He clearly doesn't understand why someone dressed like you is languishing in a dungeon. As he leads you down the corridor, you try to piece together what's happening. Based on the architecture, the clothing, the sheer lack of indoor plumbing, you're pretty sure you've somehow stumbled, or rather, been unceremoniously dumped, into the Middle Ages. And not the fun, romanticized version from movies, but the gritty, grimy, probably full of plague version. Great! Historians still argue whether the Middle Ages officially ended in 1453 with the fall of Constantinople, or in 1492 when Columbus sailed the ocean blue and accidentally stumbled upon America, or even later, with the rise of the Reformation, but one thing's for sure, none of those dates are helping you right now. You are officially medieval screwed. Fun fact, during the Middle Ages, some people believed that bathing too often was bad for your health. Apparently, dirt was a natural barrier against disease. You can see how well that worked out for them. You stumble along, trying to maintain some semblance of dignity despite the chains and the onion-infused guard breath. You have absolutely no idea what awaits you, but one thing is certain, you're in deep, and you're going to have to think fast if you want to survive this bizarre and terrifying new reality. Also, you really need a shower. The guard shoves you forward, and you stumble through a heavy oak door into a large, surprisingly opulent chamber. Tapestries depicting scenes of valiant knights and mythical creatures adorn the walls. Sunlight streams through tall, arched windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. The room is filled with people, richly dressed men and women in velvet and silk, their faces a mixture of curiosity and disdain. They eye you with the same scrutiny one might reserve for a particularly disgusting insect. At the far end of the room, seated on a raised platform and surrounded by advisors, sits a man who can only be the king. He's a formidable figure, with a stern face, a neatly trimmed beard, and a crown that looks heavy enough to give him a permanent neck ache. He surveys you with an appraising gaze, his expression unreadable. You're led to the center of the room and forced to kneel. The chains, still binding your wrists, clatter against the stone floor. The silence is deafening, broken only by the crackling of a fire in the massive hearth. The king finally speaks, his voice deep and resonant. "So," he says, his eyes narrowed. "You have returned." "Returned?" You have absolutely no idea what he's talking about. This is where you explain you are from the future, right? You open your mouth to speak, to explain that you're not who they think you are, but then a terrifying thought crosses your mind. What if they don't believe you? What if they think you're insane? Medieval people weren't exactly known for their progressive views on time travel and alternate dimensions. You could end up being burned at the stake for heresy, or worse, subjected to medieval dentistry. You decide to play it cool. "For now." "Your Majesty," you say, trying to sound regal despite the fact that your knees are shaking. "It is good to be back." The king raises an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. "Your absence has been noted," he says, with a hint of menace in his voice. "Some have suggested that you were indisposed. Perhaps even dead." "Rumors, Your Majesty," you reply smoothly, hoping you can pull this off. "Merely rumors. I was delayed by important matters." "Okay, not your best alibi, but it's the best you can come up with on the spot." The king seems to consider your words, his gaze still fixed on you. A woman standing to the king's right, you presume she is the queen, speaks for the first time. Her voice is sharp and laced with suspicion. "And what were these important matters that kept you away from your duty?" You rack your brain, desperately searching for an answer. Think. What would a noble in this situation say? "Matters of state," you stammer, hoping to sound important and mysterious. "Delicate negotiations with foreign powers." You watch their faces carefully, trying to gauge their reaction. The queen looks even more skeptical than before, but the king seems intrigued. "Indeed," he says, leaning forward. "And what did these negotiations entail?" You are officially cornered. You know absolutely nothing about the political landscape of this kingdom, nothing about its allies or enemies. You're making this up as you go along, and you have a feeling you're about to be exposed. But then, an idea strikes you. A desperate, Hail Mary kind of idea. You take a deep breath and say, with as much confidence as you can muster, "Matters too sensitive to be discussed in open court, Your Majesty." Suffice it to say, I have secured a significant advantage for the kingdom. You hold your breath, waiting for their reaction. The king and queen exchange a look. The king strokes his beard thoughtfully. "Very well," he says finally. "I will take your word for it, for now. But I expect a full report on these negotiations at your earliest convenience." You nod, relief washing over you. You've bought yourself some time. But you know this is just the beginning. You're an imposter in a world you don't understand, surrounded by people who clearly don't trust you. You need to figure out who they think you are, what your role is in this kingdom, and fast. Otherwise, you're toast. Interestingly enough, medieval nobility were often buried with their possessions. The idea being that they would need them in the afterlife. It makes you wonder what kind of loot you could score if you just happened to stumble across a royal tomb, probably not worth getting caught, though. The king waves his hand dismissively. "Remove the chains," he commands. 2 guards step forward and unlock the iron cuffs, freeing your wrists. The sudden release is almost painful. You rub your chafed skin, trying to restore circulation to your numb fingers. "You will be confined to your chambers," the king continues, "until I am satisfied with your explanations." "Of course, Your Majesty," you reply, bowing your head. "You'll take confinement in a reasonably comfortable room over a dungeon cell any day." The guards lead you out of the throne room and down a long, winding corridor. The castle is a labyrinth of stone passageways, echoing with the sounds of footsteps and distant voices. You try to memorize the route, but you quickly lose your bearings. This place is a maze. Finally, they stop before a large, ornately carved door. One of the guards pushes it open, revealing a spacious chamber. It's not exactly the penthouse suite at the Four Seasons, but it's a definite upgrade from the dungeon. A large bed draped with velvet curtains dominates the room. There's a writing desk, a comfortable-looking armchair, and a small fireplace. Several tapestries adorn the walls, depicting scenes of hunting and falconry. "This is your chamber," the guard says curtly. "You are not to leave without permission." "Understand." "Perfectly," you reply, trying to sound as agreeable as possible. The guard nods and closes the door, leaving you alone in your new prison. Well, at least it's a nicely furnished prison. You take a deep breath and survey your surroundings. Okay, time to figure out what's going on. You start by examining the room, looking for clues. You rummage through the drawers of the writing desk, finding parchment, quills, and ink. You find a few sealed letters addressed to someone named Lord Arian. Could that be you? You carefully open one of the letters, trying to decipher the elegant script. The letter is from a woman named Ilara, and it's rather intimate. She writes of her longing for your return, of stolen moments together, and of a secret she can no longer keep. Oh boy. This is getting complicated. You quickly scan the rest of the letters, piecing together a picture of Lord Arian. He's a nobleman, apparently of some importance, who's been away from the kingdom for an extended period of time. He's involved in politics, possibly in some kind of secret mission. And he's having an affair with a woman who's carrying his child. Well, this is just great. You've not only been transported to the Middle Ages, but you've also inherited someone else's messy life. You, a completely clueless 21st century human, are now pretending to be a medieval lord with a secret love child and a kingdom full of enemies. You sit down heavily on the bed, your head spinning. This is going to be a lot harder than you thought. You spend the next few hours studying the letters, trying to absorb as much information as possible about Lord Arian and his life. You learn about his family, his allies, his enemies, his responsibilities. You discover that he's a skilled swordsman, a cunning strategist, and a respected member of the king's court. All qualities you currently lack. You realize that if you're going to pull this off, you're going to have to learn fast. You need to master the art of courtly manners, understand the kingdom's political landscape, and somehow acquire the skills and knowledge of a medieval lord. You also need to figure out what significant advantage you supposedly secured for the kingdom. Because if the king asks for a detailed report, you're going to be in serious trouble. As darkness falls, you settle into the bed, exhausted and overwhelmed. You close your eyes, trying to clear your mind. You're trapped in a bizarre and dangerous situation, impersonating someone you don't know, and surrounded by people who are watching your every move. You know you need a plan. You need to find allies, uncover the truth about Lord Arian's disappearance, or whatever he's been up to, and somehow navigate the treacherous waters of medieval politics. And you need to do it all without getting yourself killed. Oh, and you really need to learn how to wield a sword. Medieval castles were often equipped with murder holes, openings in the ceiling above the entrance through which defenders could drop rocks, hot oil, or other unpleasant things on unwelcome guests. Makes you wonder if they have one of those above your door. Sleep doesn't come easily. Your mind races, replaying the events of the day, trying to anticipate what might happen next. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the curtains, sends a jolt of adrenaline through your veins. You toss and turn, haunted by visions of dungeons, burning stakes, and angry kings. Finally, as the first rays of dawn filter through the window, you drift into a fitful sleep. But even in your dreams, you're not safe. You're back in the throne room, facing the king and queen. They're accusing you of treason, of impersonating Lord Arian, of being a spy. The crowd around you is chanting, their voices rising in a deafening roar. Imposter! Liar! Burn him! You wake up with a gasp, your heart pounding in your chest. You're covered in sweat, your body trembling. You sit up in bed, trying to catch your breath. It was just a dream, you tell yourself. But the fear is real. You get out of bed and walk over to the window. The sun is rising, casting a golden glow over the castle grounds. You look out at the courtyard below, watching as knights in shining armor practice their swordsmanship. It's a scene straight out of a medieval movie, and it reminds you of how far you are from home. You realize that you can't afford to be paralyzed by fear. You need to take action. You need to start learning about this world, about Lord Arian, and about the dangers that surround you. You decide to start by exploring the castle. You know you're not supposed to leave your chamber without permission, but you can't just sit here and wait for the king to decide your fate. You need to gather information, find allies, and figure out a way to survive. You dress quickly in the clothes you were given, trying to imitate the way you imagine Lord Arian would dress. You smooth out the wrinkles in your tunic, adjust your breeches, and pull on your boots. You take a deep breath and open the door, stepping out into the corridor. The hallway is deserted, save for a few servants scurrying about their duties. You try to look confident and purposeful as you walk, hoping to avoid attracting attention. You wander through the castle, exploring its many corridors and chambers. You pass through the kitchens, where cooks are preparing a vast breakfast for the royal household. You peek into the library, a vast room filled with ancient books and scrolls. You even venture into the chapel, where monks are chanting their morning prayers. As you explore, you try to eavesdrop on conversations, gathering snippets of information about the kingdom, its politics, and its people. You learn that the king is a strong ruler, but is facing growing unrest from his nobles. You discover that the kingdom is on the brink of war with a neighboring land. And you hear whispers of a prophecy that speaks of a chosen one who will save the kingdom from destruction. Could that chosen one be you? Probably not, but hey, stranger things have happened. As you're wandering through the castle gardens, you overhear a conversation between two guards. They're talking about Lord Arian, about his mysterious disappearance, and about the rumors that he was involved in some kind of secret plot. They say he was a traitor, one of the guards says. That he was plotting against the king. I don't believe it, the other guard replies. Lord Arian was a loyal servant of the crown. There must be some mistake. Maybe, the first guard says. But I heard the king himself ordered his arrest. Your blood runs cold. Lord Arian was accused of treason? The king ordered his arrest? This is much more complicated than you thought. You realize that you're not just impersonating a nobleman. You're impersonating a nobleman who's suspected of treason. And if the king finds out that you're not who you say you are, you're not just going to be thrown in the dungeon. You're going to be executed. You need to clear Lord Arian's name, or at least find out what he was really up to. And you need to do it fast. During the Middle Ages, people often used leeches for medicinal purposes. The idea was that draining blood would rid the body of impurities. Which, to be fair, sounds kind of metal. You decide to seek out someone who might be able to help you. Someone who knew Lord Arian well and might be willing to trust you, even though you're a complete stranger pretending to be him. You remember the letters you found in your chamber, the letters from the woman named Ilara. She seemed to care deeply for Lord Arian, and she might be willing to share information with you. Finding Ilara proves to be surprisingly easy. You simply ask a passing servant if she knows where to find Lady Ilara, and the servant directs you to a small garden near the castle walls. You find her sitting on a bench, gazing out at the surrounding countryside. She's a beautiful woman, with long, flowing hair and piercing blue eyes. She's also clearly pregnant, her belly swollen beneath her elegant gown. You approach her cautiously, unsure of how to begin. Lady Ilara, you say, trying to sound like Lord Arian. She turns to face you, her eyes widening in surprise. Arian, she says, her voice trembling. Is it really you? You nod, forcing a smile. Yes, it's me. I've returned. She rises from the bench and rushes towards you, throwing her arms around your neck. Oh, Arian, she says, her voice choked with emotion. I thought I'd never see you again. You hug her back, feeling a surge of guilt. You're deceiving this woman, taking advantage of her feelings for Lord Arian. But you tell yourself it's necessary. You need her help, and this is the only way to get it. You lead her back to the bench, and you both sit down. I'm sorry I've been away so long, you say. I had important business to attend to. She looks at you intently, her eyes searching your face. What happened, Arian? She asks. Where have you been? You hesitate, unsure of how much to tell her. You can't reveal the truth, that you're not Lord Arian, that you're a time-traveling imposter from the future. But you can't lie to her completely, either. I was investigating something, you say, choosing your words carefully. Something dangerous. Something that could threaten the kingdom. She frowns. What are you talking about? I can't say, you reply. Not yet. But trust me, Ilara. I'm doing this for the good of the kingdom. She sighs. I want to trust you, Arian, she says. But I'm worried. You've been gone so long, and you're acting so strange. You take her hand in yours. I know, you say. But I need your help, Ilara. I need you to trust me. She looks at you for a long moment, then nods. All right, she says. I'll help you. But you have to promise me you'll tell me the truth. What's going on, Arian? What are you really doing? You promise her you will, knowing you're probably lying. You ask her about Lord Arian, about his friends, his enemies, his secrets. She tells you everything she knows, painting a picture of a complex and enigmatic man. You learn that Lord Arian was a close advisor to the king, but he also had enemies in the court. He was investigating a conspiracy, a plot to overthrow the king and seize the throne. He had discovered evidence that implicated several powerful nobles, including some of the king's closest allies. That's why he disappeared, Ilara tells you. He was trying to expose the conspiracy, but he was betrayed. Someone warned the conspirators, and they had him arrested. But why would the king order his arrest, you ask? If Arian was trying to protect him? I don't know, Ilara replies. Maybe the king was deceived. Maybe he was part of the conspiracy himself. The pieces are starting to fall into place. Lord Arian was a loyal servant of the crown, but he was betrayed by those he trusted. He was arrested on false charges, and now you're impersonating him, trying to clear his name and expose the conspiracy. This is much bigger than you thought. You're not just trying to survive in a strange new world. You're caught in the middle of a dangerous political game, a game that could determine the fate of the kingdom. During the medieval period, trial by ordeal was a common method of determining guilt or innocence. This involved subjecting the accused to a painful or dangerous test, such as holding a red-hot iron or being thrown into a body of water. If the accused survived the ordeal, they were considered innocent. If they died, well, I guess they were guilty. Hope no one decides to give *U* a trial by ordeal. As you talk to Ilara, you notice a man standing in the shadows, watching you intently. He's dressed in the uniform of a castle guard, but there's something about him that seems different. He's taller, broader, and his eyes hold an unnerving intensity. You nudge Ilara and nod towards the guard. Who is that? You whisper. Ilara follows your gaze. That's Sir Kalen, she says. He's one of the king's most trusted knights. He's been assigned to protect me since Arian disappeared. Sir Kalen. You remember the name. He was mentioned in one of the letters you found in your chamber. Lord Arian seemed to trust him, considered him a friend. But there was also a hint of caution in his tone, as if he wasn't entirely sure where Kalen's loyalties lay. You decide to approach him. You stand up and walk towards him, leaving Ilara on the bench. As you get closer, you can see the intensity in his eyes. He's definitely sizing you up. Sir Kalen, you say, extending your hand. It's good to see you again. Kalen hesitates for a moment, then shakes your hand. His grip is firm, almost painful. Lord Arian, he says his voice deep and resonant. "Welcome back. We were beginning to think you'd disappeared." "I had important business to attend to," you say, repeating the same lie you told the king and queen. Kaelin raises an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. "So I heard," he says. "But I must confess, I'm curious. What exactly was this important business that kept you away for so long?" You meet his gaze, trying to project an air of confidence. "I can't say," you reply. "Not yet. But I assure you, it was for the good of the kingdom." Kaelin studies you for a long moment, his eyes searching your face. You can feel his suspicion, his doubt. He doesn't believe you. "Very well," he says finally. "I won't press you. But I must warn you, Lord Arian. There are those in this court who are not to be trusted. Be careful who you confide in." "I will," you say. "And thank you, Kaelin, for your concern." Kaelin nods and turns to leave. As he walks away, you can feel his eyes on your back. He's watching you, waiting for you to make a mistake. You return to Elara, feeling uneasy. Sir Kaelin is a powerful man, a trusted knight. If he suspects that you're an impostor, he could expose you to the king. You need to be careful around him. "What did he say?" Elara asks. "He warned me to be careful," you reply. "He said there are those in this court who are not to be trusted." Elara shivers. "He's right," she says. "There are dangerous people in this castle. People who would do anything to gain power." You realize that you're surrounded by enemies, both known and unknown. You need to find allies, people you can trust. And you need to learn who is behind the conspiracy that led to Lord Arian's arrest. You decide to start by talking to Sir Kaelin again. Despite your initial unease, you sense that he might be an ally. He seemed genuinely concerned about Lord Arian's safety, and he warned you about the dangers of the court. He might be willing to help you uncover the truth. But first, you need to prove to him that you're not a threat. You need to gain his trust. And that's going to be a challenge. You spent the rest of the day observing the court, trying to identify potential allies and enemies. You attend a royal banquet, where you mingle with the nobles and try to gather information. You observe the king and queen, their advisors, and their courtiers. You listen to their conversations, watching their interactions, trying to decipher their true motives. You realize that the court is a complex web of alliances and rivalries, a game of power and intrigue. Everyone is vying for the king's favor, plotting against their enemies, and concealing their true intentions. You're a stranger in this world, a pawn in a game you don't understand. But you're determined to survive. You're determined to uncover the truth, clear Lord Arian's name, and expose the conspiracy that threatens the kingdom. And you're determined to find a way back home. During the Middle Ages, falconry was a popular sport among the nobility. Trained falcons were used to hunt birds and other small animals. It was a symbol of status and power, and it required skill, patience, and a deep understanding of nature. Maybe you should take up falconry. It could be a good way to impress the king and gain some much-needed respect. The next morning, you seek out Sir Kaelin. You find him in the training yard, overseeing a group of knights practicing their swordsmanship. He's an imposing figure, his movements precise and powerful. The knights clearly respect him, hanging on his every word. You wait patiently until he's finished instructing the knights, then approach him. "Sir Kaelin," you say. "May I have a word with you?" Kaelin turns to face you, his expression unreadable. Lord Arian, he says. What can I do for you? I wanted to thank you, you say, for your warning yesterday. I appreciate your concern for my safety. Cailan nods. This court is a dangerous place, he says. Especially now. There are forces at work that threaten the stability of the kingdom. I know, you say. I've been investigating something myself. Something that could expose those forces. Cailan's eyes narrow. What are you talking about? You hesitate, unsure of how much to reveal. You can't tell him the truth, that you're an imposter from the future. But you can't keep him in the dark completely, either. I've discovered evidence of a conspiracy, you say. A plot to overthrow the king. Cailan's expression hardens. Who is behind it? He asks. I don't know yet, you reply. But I'm getting closer to the truth. And I need your help, Cailan. I need someone I can trust. Cailan studies you for a long moment, his eyes searching your face. He's trying to determine if you're telling the truth, if you can be trusted. Why should I trust you, Lord Arian? He asks. You've been gone for months, and now you suddenly reappear, claiming to have discovered a conspiracy. Why should I believe you? You take a deep breath. Because I'm telling the truth, you say. Because I'm loyal to the king and to the kingdom. And because I need your help to expose the traitors who are plotting against us. Cailan remains silent for a moment, then nods. Very well, he says. I'll help you. But I'm warning you, Lord Arian. If you're lying to me, if you're involved in this conspiracy yourself, I will not hesitate to turn you in. I understand, you say. And I appreciate your trust, Cailan. I won't let you down. You spend the rest of the day working with Cailan, sharing information and strategizing. You tell him about your suspicions, about the evidence you've uncovered, about the people you suspect are involved in the conspiracy. Cailan listens intently, offering his own insights and suggestions. He's a skilled strategist and a loyal friend. He seems genuinely committed to helping you uncover the truth and protect the king. Together, you begin to piece together the puzzle. You identify several key figures who are likely involved in the conspiracy. They're all powerful nobles, close to the king, and they all have a motive for wanting to overthrow him. You also discover that Lord Arian was investigating these same nobles before he disappeared. He was close to uncovering their plot, but he was betrayed. Someone warned the conspirators, and they had him arrested. You and Cailan decide to focus your investigation on these key figures, gathering evidence and trying to determine their next move. You know that time is running out. The conspirators are planning something, and you need to stop them before it's too late. As you work with Cailan, you begin to feel a sense of hope. You're not alone in this fight. You have an ally, someone you can trust, someone who's willing to risk his life to protect the kingdom. But you also know that the stakes are high. If you fail, the king could be overthrown, the kingdom could be plunged into chaos, and you could end up dead. During the Middle Ages, people often used astrology to make predictions about the future. They believed that the positions of the stars and planets could influence events on Earth. Maybe you should consult an astrologer. They might be able to tell you what the future holds, or at least give you some helpful advice on how to avoid getting killed. As you delve deeper into the conspiracy, you realize that you need more information. You need to find out what Lord Arian knew before he was arrested, what evidence he had gathered, and who he suspected of being involved. You decide to search his chambers. You know it's a risky move, but you can't think of any other way to get the information you need. You need to find out what Arian knew * before * he became you. You enlist Kaelin's help. He agrees to create a diversion, distracting the guards while you sneak into Lord Arian's old room. It's located in a different part of the castle, a more secluded and heavily guarded area. Under the cover of darkness, you and Kaelin make your way to the chambers. Kaelin engages the guards in a heated discussion, arguing about some minor infraction. While they're distracted, you slip past them and into the room. The chambers are surprisingly well preserved. It's as if Lord Arian just stepped out for a moment and will be back any minute. His clothes are neatly folded on a chair, his books are arranged on a shelf, and his writing desk is covered with parchment and ink. You start searching the room, looking for anything that might provide a clue. You rummage through the drawers of the writing desk, finding letters, maps, and other documents. You examine the books on the shelf, hoping to find a hidden message or a secret compartment. As you're searching, you hear a noise outside the door. It sounds like someone is coming. You quickly extinguish the candle you're using for light and hide behind a tapestry. The door creaks open, and a figure enters the room. It's a woman, dressed in a dark cloak. She moves silently through the chambers, her face hidden in the shadows. You watch her cautiously, trying to determine who she is and what she's doing. She goes to the writing desk and starts searching through the drawers, just as you were doing. You realize that she's looking for the same thing you are, information about the conspiracy. But who is she? Is she an ally or an enemy? You decide to confront her. You step out from behind the tapestry, startling her. Who are you? You demand. What are you doing here? The woman turns to face you, and you gasp in surprise. It's the Queen. She stares at you in shock, her eyes wide with fear. Lord Arian, she says, her voice trembling. What are you doing here? You hesitate, unsure of what to say. You can't reveal the truth, that you're an imposter from the future. But you can't lie to the Queen, either. I was just looking for something, you stammer. Something that belonged to Lord Arian. The Queen's expression hardens. What were you looking for? She asks. You decide to tell her the truth, or at least part of it. I've discovered evidence of a conspiracy, you say. A plot to overthrow the king. And I believe Lord Arian was investigating it before he disappeared. The Queen's eyes widen. A conspiracy, she says. Who is behind it? I don't know yet, you reply. But I'm getting closer to the truth. And I need your help, Your Majesty. I need you to trust me. The Queen studies you for a long moment, her eyes searching your face. You can feel her suspicion, her doubt. She doesn't know if she can trust you. Why should I trust you, Lord Arian? She asks. You've been gone for months, and now you suddenly reappear, claiming to have discovered a conspiracy. Why should I believe you? You take a deep breath. Because I'm loyal to the king, you say. Because I want to protect him from those who would harm him. And because I need your help to expose the traitors who are plotting against him. The Queen remains silent for a moment, then nods. Very well, she says. I'll help you. But I'm warning you, Lord Arian. If you're lying to me, if you're involved in this conspiracy yourself, I will not hesitate to turn you in. I understand, you say. And I appreciate your trust, Your Majesty. I won't let you down. During the Middle Ages, people often used elaborate codes and ciphers to protect their secrets. This involved substituting letters or symbols for other letters or symbols, making it difficult for anyone to read the message without the key. Maybe Lord Arian used a code to protect his notes. If so, you're going to need to find a medieval codebreaker. You and the Queen spend the next few hours searching Lord Arian's chambers, looking for clues. The Queen reveals that she, too, suspected a conspiracy within the court and had been secretly investigating it herself. It seems you've found another ally, although one whose true motives remain shrouded in mystery. Is she truly on your side, or is she simply using you to advance her own agenda? After hours of searching, you finally find something. Hidden beneath a loose floorboard, you discover a small, locked chest. You try to open it, but it's securely fastened. You need to find the key. The Queen suggests searching Lord Arian's personal belongings. You rummage through his clothes, his books, and his other possessions, but you can't find the key anywhere. Just when you're about to give up, the Queen notices something. On the back of a painting, hidden beneath a layer of dust, is a small, metal object. It's the key. You quickly unlock the chest and open it. Inside, you find a collection of documents, letters, and other items. You start examining them, trying to decipher their meaning. Among the documents, you find a detailed list of names, dates, and locations. It appears to be a record of secret meetings between several high-ranking nobles. You recognize some of the names. They're all powerful figures in the court, close to the king. You also find a series of letters, written in code. You realize that these letters must contain the evidence Lord Arian had gathered about the conspiracy. You need to find a way to decode them. The Queen suggests consulting the court jester. He's a clever and resourceful man, and he's known for his ability to solve puzzles and riddles. He might be able to help you break the code. You agree. You need all the help you can get. You and the Queen leave Lord Arian's chambers, taking the chest with you. You decide to keep your discovery a secret, at least for now. You don't want to alert the conspirators that you're onto them. As you're leaving the chambers, you notice something strange. The door to the room is slightly ajar, as if someone has been listening in on your conversation. You exchange a worried glance with the Queen. You realize that you're not as safe as you thought. The conspirators are watching you, and they know that you're getting closer to the truth. You need to be careful. You need to protect yourself and your allies. And you need to expose the conspiracy before it's too late. You find the court jester in the castle gardens, entertaining a group of children with his jokes and antics. He's a small, wiry man with a mischievous grin and twinkling eyes. You approach him cautiously, unsure of how to begin. You don't want to reveal too much in front of the children. "Master Jester," you say. "May I have a word with you?" The jester turns to face you, his grin widening. "Lord Arian," he says. "What brings you to my humble corner of the castle?" You lead him away from the children, to a more secluded spot in the garden. You explain to him that you've discovered a series of coded letters, and you need his help to decipher them. The jester listens intently, his expression growing serious. "Coded letters, you say?" he asks. "Interesting. Let me see them." You show him the letters. He examines them carefully, his brow furrowed in concentration. After a few minutes, he smiles. "I think I can help you," he says. "But it will take time. These codes are complex, and I'll need to study them carefully." You thank him profusely. You're relieved to have found someone who can help you break the code. As the jester is leaving, he turns to you and winks. Beware, Lord Arian, he says. The truth is a dangerous thing. Once you uncover it, you can never go back. You realize that he's right. The truth about the conspiracy could shatter the kingdom, destroy lives, and change everything. But you're determined to uncover it, no matter the cost. During the Middle Ages, jesters played an important role in the royal court. They were entertainers, comedians, and advisors. They were often the only ones who could speak the truth to the king without fear of punishment. They were also known for their wit, their intelligence, and their ability to see through deception. They were, in a way, the medieval equivalent of stand-up comedians, except with slightly more pointy hats and a significantly higher chance of being beheaded for a bad joke. You return to your chambers, feeling a mixture of hope and trepidation. You're one step closer to uncovering the conspiracy, but you also know that you're in grave danger. The conspirators are watching you, and they're not going to let you expose them without a fight. You spend the rest of the day preparing for what lies ahead. You sharpen your sword, practice your swordsmanship, and study the maps of the kingdom. You know that you may have to fight to protect yourself and your allies. As darkness falls, you receive a visitor. It's Lady Ilara. She looks pale and frightened. Arian, she says, her voice trembling. I have something to tell you. Something terrible. You lead her inside your chambers and close the door. What is it, Ilara? You ask. I overheard a conversation, she says. Between two of the king's advisors. They were talking about you. What did they say, you ask, your heart pounding in your chest? They said that the king is planning to arrest you, she says. He believes that you're involved in the conspiracy. You stare at her in disbelief. The king thinks you're a traitor? But why? They said that someone has been poisoning his mind against you, Ilara continues. Someone who wants to see you destroyed. You realize that the conspirators have turned the king against you. They've convinced him that you're the enemy, that you're plotting to overthrow him. You're in a desperate situation. The king is about to arrest you, and the conspirators are waiting in the wings to finish you off. You need to act fast if you want to survive. You decide to confront the king. You need to convince him that you're innocent, that you're being framed. But you also know that it's a risky move. The king is surrounded by his advisors, and they'll do everything they can to prevent you from reaching him. You enlist the help of Sir Kalen. He agrees to help you get an audience with the king. He's still loyal to you, despite the rumors and accusations. Under the cover of darkness, you and Kalen make your way to the royal chambers. The castle is quiet and deserted. Only a few guards are patrolling the corridors. You reach the king's chambers and knock on the door. A gruff voice answers from within. Who is it? It's Lord Arian, you say. I need to speak with the king. It's a matter of grave importance. There's a moment of silence, then the door opens. A guard steps aside, allowing you and Kalen to enter. The king is sitting on his throne, surrounded by his advisors. He looks tired and worried. His eyes are filled with suspicion. Lord Arian, he says, his voice cold and distant. What do you want? You take a deep breath and step forward. Your Majesty, you say. I've come to clear my name. I'm not involved in the conspiracy. I'm being framed. The king raises an eyebrow. Is that so, he says. Then explain why I've heard rumors that you're plotting against me. Those rumors are false, Your Majesty, you say. They're being spread by the conspirators, the real traitors who are trying to overthrow you. The king's advisors begin to whisper among themselves. They're trying to convince him that you're lying. You ignore them and continue to speak. I have evidence, Your Majesty, you say. Evidence that will expose the conspirators and prove my innocence. The king hesitates. He doesn't know who to believe. Show me this evidence, he says finally. If it's as compelling as you say, I'll reconsider my decision. You nod and signal to Cailan. He steps forward and presents the king with the locked chest you found in Lord Arian's chambers. This chest contains the evidence, Your Majesty, you say. But it's locked. We need the court jester to help us decode the letters. The king nods and summons the court jester. The jester arrives shortly thereafter, looking nervous and excited. He examines the letters carefully, his brow furrowed in concentration. After a few minutes, he looks up and smiles. I've broken the code, Your Majesty, he says. These letters contain the names of the conspirators, their plans, and their motives. He begins to read the letters aloud, revealing the shocking truth about the conspiracy. During the Middle Ages, people often believed in trial by combat. This involved two individuals fighting each other to settle a dispute. The winner was considered to be in the right, as God was believed to favor the righteous. Maybe you should challenge the king's advisors to a trial by combat. It would certainly be entertaining, and you might even win. As the jester reads the decoded letters, the truth is revealed. The conspirators are exposed, their treachery laid bare for all to see. The king is shocked and enraged. He can't believe that his closest advisors, the men he trusted most, would betray him in such a heinous way. The letters reveal that the conspiracy was led by Lord Valerus, the king's most trusted advisor. Valerus had been secretly plotting to overthrow the king for years, amassing power and influence within the court. He had recruited several other high-ranking nobles to his cause, promising them wealth, power, and titles in the new regime. The letters also reveal that Lord Arian had discovered the conspiracy and was gathering evidence to expose it. But Valerus had learned of Arian's investigation and had him arrested on false charges. He had hoped to silence Arian permanently, but you, in a bizarre twist of fate, had stumbled into the role. The king, his face flushed with anger, orders the immediate arrest of Lord Valerus and his co-conspirators. The guard sees the traitors, dragging them away to the dungeons. The king turns to you, his expression softening. Lord Arian, he says, I owe you an apology. I was wrong to doubt you. You have saved my life and my kingdom. You bow your head. I did only what was right, Your Majesty, you say. I am a loyal servant of the crown. The king smiles. Indeed you are, he says. And I will reward you for your loyalty. He offers you a high position in his court, a title, and vast riches. You accept his offer, knowing that you've earned it. You've proven yourself to be a worthy successor to Lord Arian, a hero of the kingdom. But you also know that your time in this medieval world is limited. You still don't know how you got here, and more importantly, you have no idea if you can ever get back star. As you settle into your new role, you continue to investigate the conspiracy. You want to make sure that all the conspirators are brought to justice, and that the kingdom is safe from future threats. You discover that Lord Valerus had been working with a foreign power, a neighboring kingdom that coveted the king's lands. Valerus had promised to cede territory to the foreign power in exchange for their support in overthrowing the king. You realize that the kingdom is on the brink of war. The foreign power is preparing to invade, and the king's forces are ill-prepared to defend against them. You advise the king to strengthen his defenses, to rally his troops, and to seek alliances with other kingdoms. You use your knowledge of history and strategy to help him prepare for the coming conflict. The foreign power invades, and the kingdom is plunged into war. You lead the king's forces into battle, fighting bravely and skillfully. You use your modern knowledge to your advantage, devising new tactics and strategies that surprise and confuse the enemy. The war is long and bloody, but in the end, the king's forces prevail. The foreign power is defeated, and the kingdom is saved. You are hailed as a hero, a savior of the realm. You've earned the respect and admiration of the king, the queen, and the people of the kingdom. You've become a true medieval lord, a warrior, a strategist, and a leader. But you still yearn for home. You miss your friends, your family, and the comforts of modern life. You long to return to your own time, to leave this strange and dangerous world behind. During the Middle Ages, people often believed in magic and superstition. They believed that witches and wizards could cast spells, that demons could possess people, and that amulets and charms could protect them from harm. Maybe you should find a witch or wizard who can cast a spell to send you back to your own time. Or maybe not. That could end badly. You confide in the court jester, the only person you truly trust with the full truth. You tell him that you are not really Lord Arian, that you come from another time, and that you long to return home. The jester listens intently, his expression thoughtful. "I believe you," he says. "I always knew there was something different about you. Something otherworldly." He tells you that he knows of an old legend, a story of a hidden portal that can transport people between worlds. The portal is said to be located in a remote and dangerous part of the kingdom, guarded by ancient spirits and powerful magic. He offers to help you find the portal. He knows the kingdom well, and is skilled at navigating treacherous terrain. You accept his offer, knowing that it's your only chance to return home. You prepare for the journey, gathering supplies and weapons. You say goodbye to the king and queen, thanking them for their kindness and promising to never forget them. You don't explain your true intentions, simply stating that you have pressing matters to attend to in distant lands. You and the jester set out on your quest, traveling through forests, mountains, and deserts. You face many dangers along the way, battling wild animals, bandits, and supernatural creatures. The jester uses his wit and cunning to help you overcome these obstacles. He tells jokes to distract the enemies, solves riddles to unlock hidden passages, and uses his knowledge of folklore to appease the spirits. After many weeks of travel, you finally reach the location of the portal. It's a hidden cave, deep within a mountain range. The entrance to the cave is guarded by a stone golem, animated by ancient magic. You battle the golem, using all your strength and skill. The jester provides support, distracting the golem with his antics and creating openings for you to strike. After a long and arduous fight, you finally defeat the golem. It crumbles into dust, revealing the entrance to the cave. You and the jester enter the cave, venturing into the darkness. The air is thick with magic, and you can feel the presence of ancient spirits. You follow a winding path through the cave, guided by the jester's knowledge of the legend. You pass through chambers filled with strange symbols and arcane artifacts. Finally, you reach the end of the path. You stand before the portal, a shimmering gateway to another world. It's a swirling vortex of light and energy, beckoning you to step through. You turn to the jester, your heart filled with gratitude. "Thank you," you say. "You've helped me more than I can ever express." The jester smiles. "It was my pleasure, Lord Arian," he says. "Or should I say, time traveler?" You smile back. "Goodbye, my friend," you say. "I'll never forget you." You take a deep breath and step through the portal. You find yourself back in your own time, in your own home. You're lying on your couch, surrounded by your books and your electronics. The TV is still on, playing the historical documentary you were watching before you fell asleep. You sit up, your head spinning. Was it all a dream? Was your adventure in the Middle Ages just a figment of your imagination? You look down at your hands. They're calloused and scarred, bearing the marks of battle. You're wearing the same clothes you wore when you fell asleep, but they're torn and dirty. You realize that it wasn't a dream. It was real. You really did travel back in time, become a medieval lord, and save a kingdom from destruction. You're forever changed by your experience. You've learned valuable lessons about courage, loyalty, and the importance of fighting for what you believe in. You've also gained a new appreciation for the comforts of modern life, like indoor plumbing and readily available pizza. During the Middle Ages, people often believed that dreams were messages from the gods or the spirits of the dead. Maybe your dream was a message from the future, a warning about something that's about to happen. Or maybe it was just a random series of images and emotions, triggered by a cheesy historical documentary. Who knows? You get up and walk over to your computer. You start researching the history of the kingdom you visited, trying to find out what happened after you left. You discover that the kingdom thrived in the years following the war. The king ruled wisely and justly, and the people prospered. The kingdom became a center of trade and culture, attracting merchants, artists, and scholars from all over the world. You also learn that the court jester, your friend and confidant, became a trusted advisor to the king. He used his wit and wisdom to help the king make important decisions, and he played a key role in shaping the kingdom's future. You smile, feeling a sense of pride and satisfaction. You helped to create a better world, even if it was in another time. You continue to live your life, but you never forget your adventure in the Middle Ages. You tell your story to your friends and family, but they don't believe you. They think you're crazy. But you know the truth. You know that you really did travel back in time, become a medieval lord, and save a kingdom from destruction. And you know that you're a better person because of it. Sometimes, when you're feeling down or discouraged, you close your eyes and imagine yourself back in the medieval world. You remember the clanging of swords, the smell of wood smoke, and the camaraderie of your fellow warriors. You remember the faces of the people you helped, the smiles of gratitude, and the cheers of victory. And you realize that you can face any challenge, overcome any obstacle, and achieve any goal. Because you've already done it once, in a world that was much more dangerous and unpredictable than your own. You're a time traveler, a warrior, a leader, and a hero. And you're ready to face whatever the future holds. You decide to write a book about your experience, sharing your story with the world. You want to inspire others to believe in themselves, to follow their dreams, and to make a difference in the world. You spend years writing the book, pouring your heart and soul into every page. You relive your adventure in vivid detail, capturing the sights, sounds, and emotions of the medieval world. Finally, the book is finished. You publish it, and it becomes an instant bestseller. People all over the world are captivated by your story. They're inspired by your courage, your loyalty, and your determination. You become a celebrity, traveling the world and sharing your story with audiences of all ages. You use your platform to promote peace, justice, and understanding. You encourage people to learn from the past, to embrace the present, and to create a better future. You've come a long way since you woke up in chains in that dark and dismal dungeon. You've transformed yourself from an ordinary person into an extraordinary hero. And it all started with a dream, a journey back in time, and a chance to make a difference. Remember that time you woke up in chains? Good times, good times. As the years pass, you grow old and wise. You've lived a long and fulfilling life, filled with adventure, purpose, and love. You've traveled the world, met fascinating people, and made a lasting impact on the world. You're surrounded by your family and friends, who cherish you for your wisdom, your kindness, and your unwavering spirit. They know that you're a special person, someone who has lived a life beyond their wildest dreams. You often reflect on your adventure in the Middle Ages, remembering the challenges you faced, the lessons you learned, and the friendships you forged. You realize that it was the most transformative experience of your life, shaping you into the person you are today. You're grateful for every moment, every opportunity, and every challenge. You know that life is a precious gift, and you've tried to make the most of it. As you approach the end of your life, you feel a sense of peace and contentment. You know that you've lived a good life, a life filled with purpose and meaning. You've made a difference in the world, and you've left a legacy that will inspire generations to come. You close your eyes, taking a deep breath. You can feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, the gentle breeze in your hair, and the love of your family surrounding you. You drift off to sleep, dreaming of knights in shining armor, castles in the clouds, and a kingdom waiting to be saved. And as you sleep, you hear a faint whisper, a voice from another time, calling your name. It's the court jester, beckoning you to return to the medieval world. He needs your help once again. A new threat has emerged, a new conspiracy is brewing, and a new kingdom is waiting to be saved. You smile, knowing that your adventure is far from over. You're a time traveler, a warrior, a leader, and a hero. And you're always ready for a new challenge. You open your eyes, ready to embark on a new journey. You step through the portal, back into the medieval world, ready to face whatever awaits you. But this time, you're not alone. You have your friends, your family, and the lessons you've learned to guide you. You're stronger, wiser, and more prepared than ever before. And you know that, together, you can conquer any obstacle, overcome any challenge, and create a better world, in any time, in any place. Because you're not just a time traveler. You're a force for good, a beacon of hope, and a champion of justice. And you'll never stop fighting for what you believe in. Now, let the warmth of your bed envelop you like a gentle embrace. Feel the soft caress of your blankets, whispering away the day's worries. Imagine yourself drifting on a peaceful river, the gentle current carrying you further and further into a tranquil slumber. Let the rhythm of your breath slow and deepen, each exhale releasing any remaining tension. Allow your mind to quiet, like a still lake reflecting the stars above. Soon you'll be lost in a world of dreams, where anything is possible and all is calm. I'm so sorry, but I can only deliver 15 sections and a wind down. The wind down has already been delivered,